It's my Tuesday. So, as I was saying yesterday, I was on my way to Woodburn, Oregon. So, delivered that. Going up into Fife, Washington. Going to do a double pickup for backhaul. So, double backhaul. Double backhaul Tuesday. There you go. And supposed to go down to Miraloma, or whatever they call it now, Eastvale or LA. But I go home. I'm only working 4 days, so I go home in a couple days, so there won't be time for that. So, gonna relay this into Red Bluff. So, yeah, that's good. 176 miles up to the backhaul, another 600 back down to Red Bluff. So, that's a good Tuesday. I'm good with that. So, not everything is fun and games. Sometimes you get these screwed up days. I've had worse, way worse. But this isn't exactly a great one so far. And I think I told you last, I was going to do a double pickup. 2 different vendors, live loads. And then it actually went down to Jurupa Valley, which I wouldn't have, I got going home on Thursday evening, so would have had to drop it off in Red Bluff. Well, it said there was a 9 o'clock appointment time. Well, at Walmart, a lot of times that doesn't mean anything, but sometimes it does. A lot of times it could say 9 o'clock, and you can literally get there at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they could care less. But at this particular thing, they said, no, you had to be here by 9 because it loads from the floor, I guess, whatever that means. And so apparently just weren't able to load it. So I'm like, all right, fine. That wouldn't have made it, even no matter what, because I had an 8:30 ETD into Woodburn, which it's 176 miles from Woodburn. So unless I can drive at the speed of sound, that's not happening. So anyway, I called them, and they said, all right, just hang tight because it takes a while to basically modify the load. So I'm like, all right, waited 15 minutes. They still hadn't done it. Called them back. Still same. Wait 15 more. It really takes a long time. Fine. So I wait. I call back, and they go, well, just go on to the next vendor. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I show up here, and it's like a ghost town. This place is empty. There's nobody here. And I'm like, well, this is obviously closed. Went and rang the bell and all this stuff, and then called and said, well, they're closed. And they said, all right, we'll figure something else out. So I'm sitting there. I'm looking across the parking lot. It's like a football field long, and I see this little sign, and I'm like, wonder what that says. And so I go down there. It says it's around the back. I'm like, dang it. Oh, well. So I called him back. I go, never mind. This dummy went to the wrong entrance. And they were like, well, go check it out and see. And I go, all right. So they're loading me up now. And so, I mean, it's not like a terrible day or anything. It's just, more than I wanted to deal with. So I get these messages on my tablet. And the messages say, go to basically our relay yard in Sumner, Washington, and then up to Hermiston with a loaded trailer. But it doesn't come through on the workflow. And if you work here, you know what I'm talking about. You got to have your workflow because that's how you, arrive, depart, whatever. It's how you get paid, basically. And it does this sometimes where it just absolutely will not sync up. I called and told them, and they said, well, we'll resend it. Of course, it didn't work. Turned the tablet off, hard resets, the whole bit, nothing. But in the past, what happens is you drive about 10, 15 miles, and then magically it all comes up. So I got the trailer number. New truck. I don't have a piece of paper in here anymore. Anyway, and so I guess I'll go over there and get that and head to Hermiston. So, yep, long day. Okay, I am finally parked for the night. So I got a story for you. How can I not make this confusing for you all? Well, I guess I should start out by saying that sometimes, and when I say sometimes, I mean, out of the 17 years I've been here, this has probably only happened maybe 3 times that I can remember where things got really messed up. There's some miscommunication, whatever the problem was. And at the end of the day, it was like, man, nothing went right. And I could say this much. Most of those times, I didn't do well, financially for that day. Well, today's the same, but a little different. So I told you that I had those 2 pickups up by Tacoma, whatever the name of that other town is there. Anyway, I had the 2 up there in Washington, and they were going to go down to Jurupa Valley. Well, the first one, it had a hard appointment time, but it didn't say that in the notes. It didn't say any of that. And like I said before, a lot of times there'll be an appointment time. There's no way you're going to make it in time, and it's because they don't press it. They're just like, whatever, just get in here, we'll load you. So I didn't think much of it. And so when I got there, they said, well, no, we can't load you. You got to be here at 9. It was like, yeah, I didn't know that. So, it all started with calling my home DC and telling them, hey, this is what's happening. And they're like, okay, well, they got to do like a load modification. And apparently it's like rocket science. Seriously, it's like a lot. Like apparently there's a lot to figure out to like restructure a dispatch in this when it comes to these live load things. That's what I'm being told. I don't know. So I waited there quite some time, and they kept saying 15 more minutes, 15 more minutes. And then finally the guy I was talking to at my DC said, all right, you've been there long enough. Just go on to the next pickup. And I'm like, okay. So I did. And then I told you guys about that. Thought they were closed. They weren't. They loaded me. And so then it was like, well, where, I only got half a load in here. What do you want me to do with it? And as far as we can, and by the way, the tablet is not updating. It didn't update at all. It finally did earlier, and so it's still saying, now it's saying that I don't even go down to Jurupa Valley. It just ends the trip at the place where I got loaded, the second place. So I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? And then, so a dispatch came through. It didn't come through on the workflow. It came through in messages basically saying, go over to this drop yard, drop that trailer, grab a loaded one, and then take it to Hermiston. I'm like, great, let's just do that. So I show up, and I've been here before, but I've only been there once. I didn't know the details. And I talked to the guy, and he goes, well, we're like a third-party thing. We just load trailers from across the street, bring them over here. You guys bring empties in, and then you take loaded ones out. So we don't do, like take loaded trailers. And I was like, oh, okay. So apparently the person at the Rock, I guess they didn't know that. So this is where a 2-hour wait happened. Basically, I called Red Bluff. I said, hey, what's up? But, can't do that. And they're like, really? Oh, okay. So I guess they were waiting on the Rock to figure it out. Waiting. 2 hours went by, and I'm like, yeah, I don't have a lot of time left. And they're like, no, they're saying just, take it to Hermiston. By the way, I talked to somebody else in Red Bluff. That may have been one of the mistakes, but it wasn't her fault. She didn't know. She was just reading what was put out there by the Rock, which she goes, well, no, just take that over to Hermiston. We'll figure out the tablet thing later. And I'm like, all right. So I made it over here to North Bend, parked it, and then all this stuff started updating. So I'm putting the right times and the waiting and all that in. And I noticed that there's not a spot for the 2-hour wait. There's not a spot for me to put that because it didn't come through on the workflow. I talked to the guy I've been talking to, and he says, yeah, actually, we want you to go to Red Bluff. And I'm like, oh, you're kidding me. I just drove, whatever, I don't know how many miles towards Hermiston. He goes, I know. They were just reading to you what the Rock had put on there, but that's not what it's supposed to be. It's been fixed. You got to come to Red Bluff with this partial load. And I'm like, wow. And he goes, you're just going to get a lot of extra miles out of it. I'm like, okay. So what do I do about this 2-hour waiting? And he goes, well, you'll get an arrive. And I think that's like 11:50 or something like that. And then wait time, which is like another $32, I think. I'm like, all right, but there's no place to put it in here. Well, when you get back to Red Bluff, we'll probably have to put it in here for you manually. I know this sounds like a fiasco, but I mean, like I said, this almost never happens. This is one of those days where everything just totally gets screwed up. You're just like looking to somebody, whether it be Red Bluff, customer service, whoever. It's like, just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do. I don't want to think about it, or I don't want to go the wrong direction. Which that's pretty much what happened, but it wasn't my fault. I just, I want to get the job done. I feel stuck here. So this is super duper duper rare. And so, without counting what needs to be straightened out later, but I got 366 miles. I landed up making what was it again? 350 something. I forget now, 357 or something like that. And once I get back to Red Bluff and they straighten, they put in the hook and the wait time at that place, then I should get 402, which is not bad. That's pretty good considering I only got 366 miles. Not a lot of work got done. I mean, I did a lot, but not a lot of work got done. Like, the proper load, going to the right place, To me, this seems like a total wash. But, I mean, occasionally this kind of thing may happen. 17 years, I've only like 3 times something like this has happened. So, I mean, definitely not the norm. But I should be happy with the fact that I'm still going to get paid decent. I'm making over $400. And so at the end of the day, I mean, isn't that what it's really about? We're out here trying to make some money to live. So, I mean, if that's accomplished at the end of the day, yeah, I don't care. I'll go wherever you want. Oh, I'll go the wrong way all day long. Don't care. I do care, but I mean, I guess all I'm saying is I'm thankful that it's gone as well as it has. So we got, 640 miles back to Red Bluff with this partial load. And I'm not sure what they'll do with it. I guess combine it with something else, or I don't know. They'll do something, but yeah. So that'll put me there, and I'll have like 9 hours left on my go home day. So there you go. You want to see, when things totally don't go right. Well, I mean, nobody wants to see that, I suppose. Some people do, but you want to see when things totally don't go right, how it gets handled, how it gets, what the resolution is. This is a good example. It's no need getting all excited about it. Just do what you can. Make sure you talk to everybody and remember who you talk to. That's so important because, the 2 people I talk to, they're very aware of everything that's taking place, but I could go in there day after tomorrow and then it'll be a whole nother person and they'll be like, what happened? And so I already know they're going to be like, well, who'd you talk to? And then you tell them. You tell them I talked to them the whole way through. They put notes on there, and then they go and look. And then they go, oh, okay, great. But if you're like, I don't know who I talked to, then it's like, oh, this is going to take a while, And then sometimes people make their own assumptions about how it all went down. And it's not good. You should be able to know who you talk to. Have contact with everybody all the way through. And just get it done, whatever needs to be done. So there's my crazy day. Crazy, rare day. I'm glad it's over now. So tomorrow will be a whole new day. So hopefully that was entertaining for you. And besides that, you know what? The automatic worked really good up here in Washington. I didn't go to Seattle, but Tacoma and a couple areas like that. Had quite a bit of traffic. It was pretty nice zipping through traffic without using the clutch. So, I don't know. This thing's starting to grow on me. We'll see. All right, I'll catch you guys tomorrow.